chapter 10, please, verses 38. What's that? Yeah, we'll do it after.
There's no sitting, bro.
It's hot here. I enjoy this weather, though. I love this weather. I'll take this over winter any day. I don't care if it ever snows again. Yep, and that's right. Ducty. All right, John, that's it now, okay? Gotta get to the word. Yep. Don't want to throw me off. Luke chapter 10.
Luke chapter 10.
As Christians, well, better yet, as human beings, we can get caught up in doing and going and just the busyness of life. And sometimes we forget what it is to just rest in Him. You know what I'm saying? Especially when we become saved, we get eager, we got all this zeal, we want to do all these things for God, and that's awesome. You know, that supernatural power is put in us to go proclaim His name and, you know, lay hands on the sick and pray and do all these things that God has called us to do. Jesus said that we would do it even greater than He did. Okay? As disciples of Christ. But sometimes we forget to rest in Him. Now, resting in Him isn't just sitting idle and doing nothing. That's not what resting in Him is. But God taught us the importance to rest. He rested on the seventh day, didn't He? He created the earth. Even He knew. He was trying to set the example for us that we need. There's a time to rest. There's a time to take it easy and just be with your family and do things in life that, you know, God called you to do with your family, and just spend time with each other. And might not deem to be spiritual, but a lot of times those things are spiritual because God has set that time aside for rest. We need it, right? So in this body, in this transition period that we've been going through, and stepping up and doing, and God is taking you to new levels in Him, and you guys are really stepping up in different leadership roles, and you know, apart from your own secular job, you're taking on things here. I want to caution you to continue to rest in Him. Because I know for myself, just like life sometimes feels overwhelming, and it becomes, the small things in life sometimes become burdensome. You know what I'm saying? Are you the type of person that if you're like overstressed, the smallest thing can set you off? You know what I'm saying? Like, why is that kitchen counter dirty? When that's not even your real issue, and you just start picking things apart. Okay? That can easily beset us Christians, because we start off all eager and zealous, and with all this eager and zeal and responsibility comes pressure and all these things. And God says, rest in me. So I encourage this body tonight, because this is pretty much the core here tonight. God is pleased with your hearts and stepping up and doing for Him. But rest in Him and doing it all. Do everything unto His name. You know, when you start feeling tired, you start feeling weary. The Bible talks about not growing weary in well-doing. It just kind of happens. It just kind of comes upon us because we just get so busy with things. God taught us how to rest. We need to learn how to rest in Him. Galatians 6:9 says, and let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. I want to encourage you here too. A lot of times we set off with a specific mission in mind. Okay, God gives us a ministry, or God gives us an opportunity to minister for Him. and we start walking in it. But then the things that come about out of that ministry aren't exactly what we thought. See what I'm saying? A lot of times we don't see exactly what we think we should have saw or seen. You know, God, when I took over from PastorRay, my dad, I thought, Lord, this place is going to be filled. You know, that would be my home. Do you see what I'm saying? It's a trap to start thinking. Expect God to move, but don't expect how He's going to move.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah. That's good.
And when you don't understand, say, God, I'm trusting, I'm resting in you. Okay?
Right.
Because you can be doing and resting at the same time. It's not an oxymoron. In fact, you should be. Because if you're not resting while doing, resting in Him, that means that you're doing and resting in your own strength. And that's why you're all bothered and irritated and short and... Just making sense? You're avoiding the real issue, which is you. But you blame everybody else because you're overstressed, you're this, you're that. But I would encourage you, rest in Him. Not resting in Him, what can that lead to? Burnout. Wasn't going quite that far, but yeah, burnout, fatigue, short with people. How in the world can you minister effectively in your ministry if you're so bogged down with your stuff and you're depending on your own strength? How can you show people Christ when you're in that state? You can't. Because you're full of yourself. And yet a lot of times it's not something that happens on purpose, it just kind of happens because we get tired. You know, it's not like you set out to say, okay, God, I'm taking this from you because this isn't going the way that I think it should. It doesn't happen that way. It's just a slow process. Pretty soon you've lost the passion, you've lost the vision for your ministry, and it just... You didn't see the results you expected, and then just wind out of the sail. Do you have a little relationship conflict within your ministry? And I've seen it time and time again, where stuff like that has squashed what God wanted to do. And really, all it boils down to is resting in Him. Just rest. Resting in Him. It's so easy, yet it can be so difficult because in this human nature, we want to pick it up and do it ourselves. We want to make things right. But sometimes making things right is a process. And you need to be obedient to the Holy Spirit. And you need to be waiting on Him in any given situation, but especially in your ministry role. Especially in dealing with people. People are flawed. Ministry leaders, you are flawed. But you need to remember who is not flawed. And that's who you should be resting in.
That's right.
But yeah, not resting in Him. And we need to do that on a day-to-day basis. There's days where I do and there's days where I don't. And the days that I don't, I know it. Right? I don't want to be one of those that is hot and cold and hot and cold and hot and cold because I'm relying on my own strength. Because I'm not resting in Him. God's given us that power to persevere, to overcome. That when the big things, the trials come our way, that we're not so easily beset by them. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm not supposed to say that. Not resting in Him puts you in control. We talked about that a few weeks ago. Do you really want to be sitting on the throne of your heart? Do you really want to be in control? No, I don't think so, but somehow we always end up in that chair, don't we? Sometimes we don't even realize until, oh, God forgive me. You know, it's a process, but it all comes back to relying on Him.
That's right.
Luke chapter 10, verse 38. Now as they went on their way, He entered into a certain village, and a certain woman named Martha received Him into her house. And she had a sister called Mary, who sat also at the Lord's feet and heard His word. But Martha was cumbered about